Hey guys, how's it going? Laura with Garden Answer. Today we're at the Philadelphia Flower Show. The theme is Flower Power, and this room is so full of gorgeous garden displays and floral installations. I want to give you guys a tour so that you guys get to see all of the beauty that we've been able to see over the past couple of days. But first, I wanted to give a huge thank you to Proven Winners for bringing us out here. We did a Q&A yesterday here. We did a couple of meet and greets, and a lot of you guys made it out and made it a point to come say hi to us, and that meant a tremendous amount to me and to Aaron. It was a super encouraging day, so thank you for that. So right now I'm standing in kind of the entry area. You can see that they took a lot of inspiration from the 60s Woodstock. This is called the Meadow up here. They used a ton of flowers and greenery up there, and you can see butterflies kind of hanging down that are full of flowers. And they took a lot of inspiration from like the 60s pop artists. You can see a lot of bold geometric designs like these blades of grass here, and just a bunch of fun, bright color. And then right around this way, this is the actual entrance right over here, but I thought you might be able to kind of see it a little bit better from back here. They created some arbors over the entryway, again with just some really big sweeping pieces that go over and create that arbor with flowers and butterflies. And then to my left here is kind of the back part of the entry, and it's just this huge, beautiful, just everything. There's a grandeur about it here, and it's just such a wonderful feeling to be in this room. But before we go any further, you will notice all the way around this entry display there are a bunch of floral installations. And you guys, this is the FTD World Cup floral competition. There are 23 countries involved here. So what happens, this happens about every 4 to 6 years. Last time it happened, it was in Berlin. Before that, it was in Shanghai. Each country that participates sends their best florist, and they come to whatever location it is and they compete. So like right in front of me here, let's take a look at this. So they all start off by doing 4 different kind of designs, 3 of which they get to bring what they want, use what they want in terms of bone structure and all that sort of thing, and flowers. And then the last one, they're all given the same box of ingredients, and then they have to create something from that. They get, I think, 20 to 30 minutes, I believe. I can't remember what it is, but 20 to 30 minutes to look at what's in that box and decide how they want to use it. And then they're given an hour and a half to design it. And the only thing that they can bring for that specific design is their favorite pair of clippers and their favorite knife. That's it. So let's just move this way. We'll take a look at a few more of them. So each one of the installations has a banner telling you a little bit about the background of each one of the florists. And then you can tell that this one, Stephen was a finalist because there are more than 4 installations or 4 designs in this display. There are 5. And you can see how different each one of them are. And I don't know, honestly, you guys, how these floral designers do it, because we were here on the first day and they installed these in front of everyone, and it was packed on opening day. There were people just lined up in front of each one of these displays, and they were in here working on it. I would be sweating bullets. I don't know how they do it. So let's look at a couple more. There's one right in front of me from Hungary, and I think that this one is a really neat display. I love all the different shapes, kind of the low and flat. We've got some really neat like triangle, I don't know what, triangles right there. And that kind of creates, you know, upward movement, I think. And then you've got circles over here in the center, and then you've got ovals right here. And so many just different unique things that they bring in to floral designs. It's given me a lot of inspiration to go home and like start practicing. This is Sweden's display, and this is one of my favorite floral arrangements in this building because it looks so relaxed and free and meadow-like. It looks like somebody went out into a meadow and just gathered up a big, beautiful bunch of wildflowers. And the arrangement from France, this is a beautiful display because it does a lot of black and white, a lot of contrast, but you guys, this one is full of hellebores. Like, how can you not love this? This is the installation from the US florist, and I actually think that this one encapsulates kind of the theme of the show the best. I would love to know what you guys think of this installation. This one's from Finland. I really like the flowers in this though. There are alliums, sweet peas, clematis, some purple carnations. It's very sweet, very feminine, but very different. I love it. That's the cool part about this show. You see things used so differently than I would think to use them. It gives a lot of ideas, gives me a lot of ideas. So this one from Italy is really interesting. I love the use of Spanish moss. Look at that huge drape from the top coming all the way down. And then they kind of mirrored it. There's like orchid roots coming down, string of bananas coming down. It's just a really interesting display. And I actually was standing here when they were working on this part right here. I was watching them when they were twisting these branches kind of around the bottom of that display. And this last one I want to show you was the artist Bart Hassam from Australia. He won the competition, won the World Cup, and this one is very interesting. A lot of use of tropicals in there. Check out this back one, this really tall one. Look at the texture in that display. Also using Spanish moss, orchids. I don't know all of the plants that are actually in that display, but I just find it very unique. And this display in the back, I love the colors, kind of the creamy yellow and the burgundy and the kind of lighter green. And it's mirrored in the branches, and then the silver backdrop, that metal backdrop just sets everything off. And that huge spiky thing right in front, I believe is a palm flower, which I think is a super interesting thing to use. So the first display garden I want to show you is from Robertson's Floral and Events, and I think that they did an amazing job. In fact, on opening day and yesterday, there were so many people around this display because it's just got so many fun elements. I mean, like big bold signs like this, big bold floral displays. And then if you look in here, you can see that they totally patterned this after Woodstock. Look at the mud on the ground, tie-dye, shirts hanging off the line and the bell bottoms. And if you look up, you see a great big rainbow, and you can see that from almost everywhere in the show, which is kind of cool. And moving this way, I mean, I want to eat dinner right here. Look at this. Look at how beautiful that is. So much work goes into these gardens. It's just amazing to me. Let's swing around. Actually, let's go this way. There's a beautiful display of flowers coming out of a truck. Isn't that the most fun thing ever? And I wonder if they like put this together and painted it and like just did it all for this show. There's a peace sign up there with Spanish moss and dried flowers. You can spend a lot of time at each one of these displays just kind of like combing through it to see all those details. And then there's a tent complete with lava lamp and kind of disco ball. And a little place out here for a bonfire. And I love that there's like charred logs in there. And it looks like there's a, on the rock. We've got a tractor even, and I love all the delphiniums. There's a ton of them in this display, and it's one of my favorite perennials. I almost touched it right there. Don't touch the displays. And this right here, I think might be one of the most photographed areas of this whole garden show with the peace sign. So bold and beautiful. I saw one of the gals out here kind of fixing that display this morning, kind of popping in some fresh flowers. And they do that throughout the garden show because this one is an 8-day garden show. You know, fresh flowers, some of the fresh flowers will not last that long, so they have to come in every morning and water everything and then replace anything that's kind of wilted. All right, so along this whole walkway, almost all the way down, there are display gardens. There's a whole bunch of them on either side, and I'm not going to show you each individual one because it would take me all day. So I'm just going to pick out a few of my favorites, starting with this one right here by Irwin Landscaping. And I think the reason why I like this one is because there's an ease about it. I mean, there's a lot of color and a lot of stuff going on, but there's still an ease about it to me. It looks like something that I would want in my own garden, you know? All the different evergreen texture and the blooming trees in the back. There's some containers, some water going right there in that fountain. There's just something comforting to me. And this one, you guys, there's just so many neat things about this display. Like the huge vertical elements that we have going on in here. Also the lighting, there's water right here. Like this whole level up here is like a reflecting pond. And then there's the metal fish that are lit up, the ceramic fish right there. Oh, it's called Fish in the Garden. That makes total sense. I love all the terracing in this display as well because they took this flat space and built it up into this really unique looking display. I mean, look at this layer right here. I mean, that's an intense amount of stuff you have to bring in to kind of build that up. I love the evergreen backdrop with the daffodils. It's very striking. And then all the fish that are worked in throughout. Of course, all the spring bulbs are beautiful as well. And this one, you guys, is so cool with the water wheel. I mean, this one's grand. There's a whole structure in the center here. We've got a little pond down below with some pond plants, which gives you a complete feeling like you're out somewhere in nature. Oh, hellebores, look at all those. That looks really pretty, doesn't it? Little muscari, that light blue with that light green hellebore. I might need to copy that in my garden. This feels like a meadow. There's like a grindstone in there. I don't know if that's what it is. But this is a Happy Jack purple clematis, which I have in my garden. This, of course, isn't in bloom, but the vines are beautiful. And I love the little monarch butterflies that they popped in for a little bit of extra color and a feeling like you're out in a meadow. And the way that they planted this up is very natural looking. You know, it's not in a big clump or anything. It's just kind of spotted around. We've got more bulbs right up here up front. And then there's kind of a natural drain area. I mean, look at that. I love it. All the details, guys. So the wall on the outside of this display, I can totally relate to. I do a lot of wood stacking. Probably not this neatly though. I think that's a really unique thing to use. And I like these worked in for some different texture. That's bee habitat right there. And this one, check it out, you guys. So many different elements, so many tulips in this display, which I love because tulips are one of my favorites. Oh, and the double daffodils. Oh, I want to touch everything and I can't. It's so hard. I want to feel everything. I'm such a tactile person. But I love the little potting shed up there. I think that's what that is. But the color in here, and this one has kind of the same feel to me as the first garden we looked at. There's an ease about it. Like, it makes you want to come in, it draws you in, and it gives you a feeling of comfort. And I wanted to stop at this display because this one is another one that encapsulates the theme of this show. There's a Woodstock ticket that's framed on top of this TV console. A console, I kind of remember my grandparents having a TV that looked like this, but that TV's been turned into something different, some kind of terrarium of sorts. There are dream catchers and feathers hanging all over the place, like you can see right here in this corner. And then over in the back, there's like that psychedelic shape. It's probably got a name, that shape. I don't know what it is, but those are all flowers. Yeah, so it's just kind of a neat feel, like a throwback. And then on the other side of that flower display, there are pictures of Vietnam and things like that. And the last display garden I want to show you guys is one that I would like to pick up and put in my own garden. Out of any structure that I've seen in this whole building, that little shed right there is the sweetest, most charming little shed. I love the boxwood cones that they've used in here, as well as the hellebores. There are herbs worked in amongst the bulbs and other perennials. The brick pathway, which is very close to what we have in a lot of our garden. Of course, the fountain centerpiece right there is beautiful. Let's swing around to the front so you guys can see a front view, because that little shed is the vista, like the backdrop of this whole display. And look at all of these flowers. This color palette is so beautiful. I mean, you've got the beautiful pink astilbe with the hellebores and the heucheras. This yarrow actually has somewhat of a red color, but it goes. And then, you know, the beautiful blue right here. And there are more herbs. Okay, check out this view, you guys. I don't know if you can see all the detail kind of toward the back in that little potting shed, but there's lavender drying in bunches hanging from the back window. There are hydrangeas. There is, looks like a little herb back in there, and just jars of things and extra pots. It's just such a charming display and something that I truly would love to just pick up and put in my own garden. And this whole area right here, and it's pretty good size all the way around me, is called the Horticort, and it's where people bring in their plants and submit them for judging. A whole bunch of different categories: cactus and succulents, begonias. There's a category called grand old plants. That is a beautiful one to see all the huge trunks on stuff, and beautiful topiary. There is a topiary category, fairy gardens, but there is a lot of judging going on this morning right now, so I don't really want to get in anybody's way. However, it doesn't look like the fairy gardens are being judged at this time, so let's go take a look at those. So isn't this the sweetest little fairy garden? I'm actually getting ready to do another one at my house, so this is giving me some great inspiration. So it looks like you need a minimum of 3 species, varieties, or cultivars, and then the garden cannot be any more than 24 inches tall. So check out this one on the top layer. Isn't that neat? I love the container it's in, and all the different plants chosen, and the different driftwood pieces. Really pretty. So this is the category of grand old plants, and I thought that this one was really beautiful because it's not one that I've ever grown before, and there is a tag beneath each plant telling you what it is. So this is a Duranta erecta. So let's move this way, and you can see some really big cacti. Beautiful. Look at this one right here. Mammillaria elongata Irish red. That would look so cool in a head planter. That would be awesome. And then a massive jade plant. Look at that. Also, this one caught my eye right here just because of the topiary shape. And that's Aloris nobilis. Huge trunk on that one. My word. And then if you can see the staghorn ferns right behind me hanging. Look at how massive these are, especially this one. Like, I love looking in there to see how many bunches are actually coming out, and there's a ton of shields back in there. Just amazing. And I have a couple of staghorn ferns at home, and they look nothing like this yet. Maybe one day. So here's the Proven Winners booth right here. The show isn't quite open, so nobody's manning it yet, but this is where we did our meet and greets yesterday. It was a ton of fun. But the last area I want to show you is the home gardening hub. So the vibe that I get from the gardens back here is that it's giving you ideas to garden on a little bit of a smaller scale. So these displays aren't quite as enormous as the big displays up front, but they give you a lot more ideas in terms of like incorporating more vegetables, herbs and things like that into your landscape, and then doing some other things to bring in pollinators, like bringing in bee boxes, making sure to provide water for pollinators and that sort of thing. This display right here is really neat because it does show you, like in this flower bed here, there are some perennials and some bulbs, but there's also some lettuce, there's also some herbs worked in, there's pallet planters right here. So this whole square area right here has a pallet planter on each side, which means you can plant up this whole vertical space. You plant in the center, and then they even have some running water on one side, and I thought that that was a really neat idea. And I really like this because I have a little experience with pallet planters. I planted up a couple of them, so it's always fun to see other ways that people have planted them up. And I think this garden is a great example of incorporating vegetables into your planting. So they've got like salvia in here, which is a great pollinator attractor, some marigolds, and then they've got like cucumbers in here with sweet potato vine, which is an ornamental, lettuce. There's corn right here, isn't that awesome? And there's even little corn cobs on there forming. And then in the back, if you look that way, you can see the bee boxes. I'm sorry, you guys, there's loud music in this display too, so I hope you're able to hear me. But the bee box in the back with the vertical herb planter, I love that one back there. That looks beautifully planted. Anyway, this is just really neat, and it shows you kind of that balcony garden too with some containers, which I know a lot of you guys garden in containers, so that's kind of a fun idea up there. And this next garden right here is showing us a bunch of different herbs and flowers and things to plant for a healing garden. So like on the sign here, it says today's specials are echinacea immunity, sage serenity, and things like that. And then there's like plaques inside that show you like different recipes for cough syrups and stuff like that. So right here you see the beautiful patch of echinacea. There's some sage right here, some thyme, lavender. And I love this. I love that whole look. I like that whole, this is something that my mom was always really into. I remember having to gather bark off of certain trees when we went hiking, so I always had to have a bag with me in case I found that tree so I could get her bark so she could make some salves and stuff for our skin. So this would be totally up her alley. So moving around to the back here, there's more echinacea, there's some yarrow moonshine back there, some agastache, sunflowers. I love all of this look right here, all the textures and the colors. And then I really like this back in here, they just tucked a bee box, which is perfect because all of these plants are huge bee attractors. So that's really a great way to provide them food, like right next to their home. So there's a couple more things I want to show you guys. I know this video is probably getting really long, but I've only barely scratched the surface of what is in this room, which is kind of sad. Like, yeah. But I really like this garden right here. It's called Centered. And these are smaller display gardens. It stops right back there by the evergreens. This is a display garden that I feel like I could tackle. This size right here. But I like how they use the outer barrier and then brought their garden in, which does give it right there, like it's kind of gives it a focused look. I like the raised deck in the middle. It looks like it's floating there above the round circle of grass. It's a mirror image. The plant choice in this display is really pleasing to me. There's some Eryngium back in there, the blue sea holly with, it looks like toffee twist carex or something like that. There's a black heuchera, Japanese maple, and all the blue foliage. It's just really pleasing. And then the hanging baskets, I like that material. Kind of that almost wicker basket look. And then when we go to the back side, there's a second garden. So it starts right here. And I just thought that this one was really fun because we have done painted cinder blocks before, and they created cinder blocks raised beds, which is something I think is really doable for a lot of people, that you can kind of come out and do something really fun, like wouldn't kids would love this type of gardening. The second to last thing I want to show you is this area with the tulips, because I love tulips. It's one of my favorite flowers. So this is just a really fun way to see a bunch of different varieties. I showed this one in a close-up picture on Instagram. This is called Orca. I know a lot of people wanted to know what the name of that variety in particular was. It's a beautiful one, but just the layer upon layer upon layer of bulbs. I love it. And the last spot that I wanted to show you guys is the gardener studio. There's nothing going on currently, but this is where I did my Q&A yesterday. And so I just wanted to show you this space. The stage was really comfortable. It was like the first time I haven't been nervous. A guy by the name of Two Bloom did the interview. He asked me all the questions. He's a pro, so he made me feel really at ease, which was so nice. But I brought a bunch of slides and pictures from our garden, and they have a couple of screens up there that we were able to show everybody those pictures. The area was so packed, and it felt so like, I felt so welcomed and so excited to be here. So anyway, the reason why we didn't film it, we noticed a couple people ask, like, why can't you film the Q&A? Well, we just kind of feel like if we filmed it, there wouldn't be any incentive for anybody to come to it. And I want people to be there. So we just kind of let that be for the people who are able to come. So hopefully if we do this in an area that's around you, you'll be able to come. But it was a very fun time. This whole show is amazing. Behind me, you probably see all that's going on back there. Those are all vendor booths. There are some amazing vendors. I did a ton of shopping yesterday. But you guys know how that goes. We're not going to take you through that area because the show is just opening and I can like see people pouring in. So we're going to try to wrap this up. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Bye.